the WNBA media is absolutely wild in the way they will twist things, make up things, lie about things, how they word stories, what they cover and don't cover when it comes to defending the Fever organization and Stephanie White. And this time they're using Sophie Cunningham to do it. Of all people, if anyone knows how important her relationship is with Caitlin Clark fans, it is Sophie Cunningham. She is not going to throw them under the bus, as this headline alludes. And by the way, we're also going to break down that final play because that's kind of related to this. So we'll take that opportunity to do that in here for all the crazy people who think it was drawn up and executed just as it was supposed to be. There is no possible way anyone who knows basketball, anyone who was not a member of the Stephanie White cult, cannot look at this play and say, yep, that's what they drew up. In no way, shape, or form. We're going to get to that as well. Thank you, of course, for being here. Truly appreciate all your support. Hope we all have a fantastic day. Here we go. Check out this headline. By the way, like, comment, subscribe. You all know the drill by now. Keep going. We're starting to roll a little bit. I think we're at 16.15 or something like that at this point. So Sophie Cunningham fires back at Indiana Fever fans after Stephanie White message. Sophie Cunningham is setting the record straight about head coach Stephanie White as the Indiana Fever prepare for Thursday's game against the Chicago Sky. So what in the heck are we talking about right now? Sophie Cunningham on her, I guess, what is it called? A carousel on Instagram, stories, whatever you call the things that disappear eventually. She shared a meme that had been going around. By the way, shout out to Evelyn, a viewer of this channel who I've mentioned a few times, who created the meme around this idea that Sophie went rogue by passing that ball to Caitlin Clark. And Sophie shared that to her IG. And of course, that became a big thing, as you can imagine, sort of like an admission. Lexi Hull said it wasn't exactly how they drew it up either. And then she followed up when that became a big thing, because as you see, no way, Sophie just posted that they really went rogue on the final play, because here was Evelyn's meme. It's cut off what Stephanie White says. But, she's like, about you didn't follow the plan. Worth it. Oops. Because a lot of people, based on their expressions in the video, were like, yeah, they definitely didn't. And then Sophie comes out and says, you guys read too much into things. That's I love how she emphasizes the exact play our coach drew up and we executed perfectly. Now, I don't know about y'all, but I read this in Sophie's voice, knowing everything I know about Sophie Cunningham, what she does and says. And to me, this is trolling. This is sarcasm. She knows what she's posting nonsense, that she's posting nonsense. Most likely she got called into the principal's office. Might have been Amber, Kelly, Stephanie, could have been all of them. And they're like, yo, Soph, we cannot have this. We get that everyone knows that we're lying about that final play, as Stephanie White did in the post-game press conference, saying it was executed exactly how it was drawn up, not drawn up by Stephanie, but drawn up. Not true. Lexi Hull said it didn't go according to plan. That is on audio. And they were like, yeah, but we can't just have you going straight up out there as a player on the team saying, no, man, this wasn't the play. We did our own thing. So what we need you to go out and shut that down right now. And Stephanie White, Sophie Cunningham, being the trooper she is, went out and said exactly this. And again, if you're following Sophie Cunningham, if you know who she is, you're like, yeah, she doesn't buy that for a second. She's just putting it out there. I think it kind of fans the flames a little bit, actually. But again, shout out to Evelyn for getting this notice. That was kind of cool. And I love how she is the latest member of the Fear organization to reject the narrative. White addressed the sideline. Oh, that's about that thing. Indiana will look to avoid any distraction at this point in the season and respond to critics on the basketball court. Well, they seem to be responding off the court quite often. So let's take a look at the play, because there's some things I want to go through on this. Just there's no way. I'm just saying there's no way. Now you can see where Sophie is. You can see where all of them. First of all, there's a lot of poor execution in this. Like, this is the benefit. The Fever won this game. Yes, Caitlin Clark's clutch shot, obviously. Sophie Cunningham's pass, obviously. But it is because Washington made an absolutely huge tactical error on this inbound play because the Fever botched this all the way through. They botched it all the way through. So look up at the top. I know it's almost cut off, but you can see AB. You know, you've got them all over there. But so AB is foul line extended, and she's going to set a pick for Kelsey Mitchell. Okay. Now, if you watch that, watch this. Kelsey, this is a lot of people, and I've talked about this before about how, yeah, a lot of picks are set poorly. AB does a poor job on the pick and roll with her picks. But I also say often, very often, poor picks or screens are actually the person coming off the screen. It's their fault. They're not setting up their defender, running them into the pick and rubbing off of the pick. There should be no space between you and you as the person coming off the screen and the screener. Okay, that is your job. Kelsey, Aaliyah's she's like an oak there, man. She is ready. Kelsey needs to come inside a little bit, drive her defender into AB and rub off of her. Instead, she loops around, gets nowhere near AB. You can even see AB trying to make up for it by sliding a little to the left. Luckily, it wasn't called. So that right there, we've botched that. So Kelsey's cover coming off of that because there basically wasn't a pick, and that's 100% on Kelsey. Now, check the corner where you've got the mob of players going on. Right now, you're going to see, and again, you're going to see Caitlin Clark, who's, edge of the foul line down outside the circle there. You can kind of see her barely in the screen. She's going to come across, set a pick for Lexi Hull. Lexi Hull leaves way too early. Way too early. Caitlin's got to come over, set the pick, get established. Lexi Hull, just like I said, has got to run her defender into that pick and rub off of Caitlin Clark. She's already going before Caitlin Clark even gets there. Right? Lexi's already going. Caitlin Clark's nowhere there. So guess what happens? It basically becomes no pick at all. The defender goes right by her. No pick at all. And again, that was not on Caitlin Clark. That was on Lexi Hull. Fortunately for the Indiana Fever, and you can't see it, it's off screen, the player guarding Caitlin Clark, and maybe this was in the huddle beforehand about how they were going to handle the switching. So it might have been the player guarding Lexi Hull might have supposed to have been staying with Caitlin Clark. But I guess since the pick was so bad that nothing happened, it's like, well, I'm going to stay with Lexi. So you've got two things. Here are options 1 and 2 on this. You've got Kelsey Mitchell coming across. She's option 1. You've got Lexi Hull. If that pick works correctly and she comes across the lane, you have Lexi Hull down low, sort of in a post up, and hopefully against a smaller player. That's option 2. AB is probably coming down. She ends up turning the other way when that ball goes to Caitlin to be boxing up for Caitlin if Caitlin wants to toss that into her. But my guess is if that ball didn't go to Caitlin, AB is option 3. She's going to turn towards Sophie to seal her defender, and that ball is going to go in. So Caitlin Clark is option. I will give that she might be option 3, but she's most likely option 4 and actually a complete decoy using her gravity in this situation because she is all the way on the opposite side of the court across from Sophie Cunningham, 30 feet from the basket. They're down 1. In no universe is this the play that they were trying to execute as it was drawn up where Caitlin Clark is the number 1 option. Just simply not the case. So we've got Kelsey Coleman. She's completely covered because she didn't run off the pick properly. Lexi Hull is covered because Washington had a miscommunication. Caitlin Clark ends up wide open because of the poor tactical decision by the Washington Mystics for both players going with Lexi Hull and literally no one covering Caitlin Clark. If anyone had even thought about staying with Caitlin Clark, this is not an option because there's no way Sophie Cunningham gets that pass all the way across there. Even in this situation, it took so long. She had very little on it because she was throwing a chest pass instead of over the head. She didn't have the strength to whip it across the court, and it still almost got picked. And by the way, the defender could have easily not chosen to do that and then had a hand in Caitlin Clark's face, and we may be having a very different conversation about the Indiana Fever blowing a big lead and losing to the Washington Mystics. Right, so see how fast she's closing, almost gets to it. Now Caitlin Clark, look where she is, folks. That is not option 1. That is not option 1. The only reason it was even an option at all is because of Washington's poor choice defensively, and so the Indiana Fever get to escape with a game winner a game winner thanks to that. But they want to tell us that that was the play as it was drawn up. And now they're going to use Sophie Cunningham, who clearly got called into the principal's office, and use her tweet to say she fired back at the fans and their conspiracy theories. You know, all those conspiracy theories that have been nothing but the truth at this point. I want to share one last thing with you just for fun. If you can see down here in the bottom left, okay? That is, you know who that is. Let me get yes on the screen so you can actually see it. Bottom left, that is Sheila Johnson, the owner. You know, the one that said everyone should be on the cover of Time magazine for Caitlin Clark's individual award. Pay attention to her as Caitlin Clark makes this shot. Yeah, turn around and yep, throw that purse down. You do that. You do that. You turn around and throw that purse down. That is wild. That is so close to being a tip ball. And boom, do it, do it, do it. Oh my goodness. How dare Caitlin Clark make that? How dare she make that? Anyway, media is wild and gave me a chance to break down the play. Probably should have done it in a second video, but hey, hopefully I'll click on this anyway and see that we broke down the play as well. Do me a quick favor, like, comment, subscribe. Y'all know the drill. Appreciate you being here. I will talk to you later.